Live on a Saturday night. It is super chill tonight. A couple of shows winding down, so I thought I would just go live and hang out for a little bit. Um, See if anybody wants to hang out and talk a little movies. I got myself a little Dharma Initiative beverage going here. I thought a little movie chat would be kind of fun. So if anybody wants to come by and hang out, thank you for doing that. If you're watching this on the replay, this is going to be a little bit of a showcase of kind of something I'm doing on my Instagram that I thought would be kind of fun to share and use as a topic to jump around a little bit. Werewolf says, I thought I might be on time. It's the 14th in Australia. It's already the 14th. There you go. You're living in that future. Take good care of the future for us. And we're international right now. Japan and Australia. This is the late night crowd. The late night crowd for the US. Bearded's like, I'm done with Two Brothers. Those lists are derailing. Dustin is crashing. I'm out of there. Hello to Adam. How's it going, man? So I'm just drinks and movies is kind of what I'm doing tonight. I made a little PowerPoint presentation, a little Google slideshow, if you will, and I was going to share it and use it as a springboard to talk movies. I got a little cocktail here, and just thought I'd hang out and chill with the homies on the YouTube. So I'm not going to be as wild as JB was last night with some of those homies. Like this guy, I'm surprised Dylan's still alive. Dylan, I hope you're doing well. I'm going to do my own version of whatever happened last night. It's a great 80s movie, Werewolf, great 80s movie. So I'm just talking movies. I'm having a little drink. Of course, Dylan, you are always welcome to come on here. If you want me to shoot you the link, let me know, man. I know that you're a movies guy. I'm going to be talking about African Americans in film. If you don't follow me on Instagram, or if you don't have Instagram, don't care about Instagram, I've been doing something just to kind of keep the conversation going about African Americans and the ways in which they've enriched my life, specifically as a movie guy and a TV person. Those are my areas of interest. And I know like some friends of mine are doing African American music, like, those great singers, songwriters from music. And I thought I'm going to use June to kind of highlight some of my favorite movies and the people who made them. So I'm going to just kind of fire up some of those, the ones that I love. Hey, Coach Vic is in here too. I like movies and drinks, so when I got the notification, there it is. That's my guy. The comedian in the chat slaying it. Fire. Constant fire. So let's fire it off here. Let's get this kind of rolling here. Where am I? Got a screen share real quickly here. So this is my 30 Days of African Americans in Cinema, just contributions to film from the Black community. I'm going to do this in 3 parts, just to talk about the movies that I love. So I'm going to run through some of those people that whose films I love, like Bill Duke. If you guys haven't heard of Bill Duke, it's possible that you just didn't know his name, but you've seen a ton of his movies. The picture of him there with the razor blade is straight out of Predator. Great movie that Perry recently watched, and you probably have seen at some point or another. Bill Duke has a very memorable part in that movie. And when I thought of doing this on my Instagram, he was the first name that honestly came to me, because I just freaking love I love his movies when he directs them. I love his movies when he acts in them. I think Bill Duke is captivating and just a badass, just a boss. And the 2 posters you see here, those are 2 of the movies that he directed. So maybe you saw Hoodlum with Lawrence Fishburne, or you saw Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum. He makes good movies. And then of course, when he's in a movie, I think he's just super captivating. So I got a couple of screen grabs here for you. There he is in Commando, which was being reviewed tonight by Downright Nerdy and the Downright and Annoyed crew. So he's another Arnold villain in this one. Absolutely great movie. He also, I got Predator down here, Action Jackson. He's in like a ton of stuff. He's in Payback. He's in Exit Wounds. And he's got a great part in Menace to Society, which is anybody who, hey, Bearded, it's coming. Anybody who likes Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society for me it might even be a better movie. Hey, Kevin, we're talking African Americans in cinema and having a few drinks. I got my little tequila cocktail here. And Bearded Comic Bro wants to see some Sister Act. Well, there you go, brother. You got it. I got you all day. Bill Duke, besides being a great actor, directed a ton of movies. But Perry just finished watching it. All right, there you go. About to start watching The King of Staten Island. I don't know King of Staten Island. You might be watching something I haven't seen. So that's interesting. So these are some of the movies Bill Duke directed. Not all of them huge winners, but I would say the bottom row down there are some movies that I really enjoy. I have Stories. What does that mean? Stories about Bill Duke. Bill Duke was also in a lot of TV shows all the way back to the days of Kojak. Look at that. Kojak. Killing it. And more recently on Black Lightning, the CW show, he was on that. Just came out Friday. Oh, no, maybe that's why I haven't heard of it. Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction is great. Pete Davidson's new movie. Okay. Interesting. And then, of course, I'm a Battlestar fan, so his cameo or small role on Battlestar is awesome. So I'm a big Bill Duke fan. I like Bill Duke a bunch. So I'm going to finish each one of these people when I get to the end with two movies that I would highly recommend for these people. If you haven't heard of them or you didn't recognize them, for Bill Duke, it's Deep Cover and Menace to Society. These are my favorites from his entire run. I freaking love Deep Cover first. Like that would probably be my favorite. Lawrence Fishburne, he's like a detective who's going undercover. He's kind of failed out of the police academy, but they've kept him. And they said, like, here, you have this criminal mentality. Maybe you'd be better undercover. So they send him in narcotics undercover, and he gets hooked into this lawyer played by Jeff Goldblum. And the combo back and forth is amazing. Right? He did have a cameo in Lost. Wait a second. No way. I'm going to research that right freaking now. How did I not remember Bill Duke Lost? I'm going to see images. Holy crap. What? Wait a second. How is this possible? How did I not know this? This is a crime. Wait. As Ward. He's the warden. Holy crap. I forgot about that. Oh my God. Hat is off to you, sir. And that makes my Dharma Initiative glass even more important right now. So cheers to you, Bearded Comic Bro, for just hugely enriching this. Great guy to work with. Thespian mind, director at heart. Nice. I'm glad to hear that he's as awesome in person as he is on film, because I'm a big fan. And Menace to Society, again, is a great sort of underappreciated look at life in the sort of hood drug culture. A really powerful look, honestly. And Bill Duke's got a great role in that. Again, people who like Boys in the Hood and the impact that movie might have had, I think Menace to Society deserves to be in that conversation as well. Let's remove that from the screen. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a good evening. Let's see here. Saw the ads for it, but not a big Pete Davidson fan. Okay, there you go. I'm a fan of the 60s black girl groups, the Ronettes, the Supremes, the Crystals. Good groups. I don't know that I know the Crystals, but the Ronettes and the Supremes, of course. Good picks, Werewolf. Absolutely. Still bothered that I didn't remember that. It's that one. He did that one episode. He was the warden for Sawyer. Yeah. So good. So that just makes my love for Bill Duke grow to another level. So I'm very pleased that to find that truth. That was a marvelous thing to happen right now. Modern music. Were they modern music? No, mod. He probably means mod music. All right, let's go here to next guy up is Carl Franklin. I would say there's not as the history of African Americans in film, which is something that I spent I had one semester in class kind of studying this particular topic, has always been like in stages. And I think obviously at the beginning, there weren't African Americans in film. You know, it was the whole blackface era. And then it moved on from there to actually having actors, you know, playing themselves, being able to play the African Americans in the films. But they were always the maids or the servants or the criminal, the bad guy, those kind of things. And then little by little, you had people like Poitier, James Earl Jones, who kind of like paved the way. Filmmaking, on the filmmaking side, on the director side, there weren't that many directors. There haven't been very many until the last maybe even 30 years. There haven't been that many Black filmmakers. One of the ones I have had the most joy given to me from is this gentleman, Carl Franklin. And I love noir movies. Obviously, Chinatown right here behind me. I love noir. He does it really, really well. He has great pacing in his movies. And I really, really dig his stuff. So here are some of his movies you might have seen. Out of Time, I think, is an underrated Denzel Washington movie. I really dig it. If you want something a little more depressing, One True Thing with Meryl Streep and William Hurt there and Renee Zellweger. High Crime's not bad movie. Bless Me Ultima is an amazing book, and that's a really good adaptation of that book. But honestly, these are the movies. And right here, where is it? Coach Vic is spot on. There needs to be more Walter Mosley books turned into movies. And Devil in a Blue Dress is such a good underrated movie. So phenomenal. And Out of Time, I agree, also very underrated. So I love these two movies, and I'm already kind of pimping my final slide here. So I'm going to like let you know these are the two movies I would recommend for Carl Franklin, like straight off the bat. But I'm going to go ahead and go to his TV show stuff, because I'll tell you right now, he's worked on some of my favorite TV shows. Leftovers, Mindhunter, 13 Reasons Why, The Affair, House of Cards. He did like 4 or 5 episodes of all of these shows pretty much. Absolutely slayed it on the TV side, and done in the last 15 years, he's done some of my all-time favorite shows that have come out in that time. Really, really talented guy. And these are the two faves. So we can talk a little bit about Devil in a Blue Dress. It's amazing. Really, really great movie. Where is it? Coach Vic saying Mouse is an all-time great character. And Don Cheadle, who I just did his I did his turn on my Instagram today. Absolutely phenomenal in that part. Devil in a Blue Dress is just a great movie, and everyone should see it. It's a hidden gem in the Denzel Washington filmography, because that guy's got a ton of movies, and I think this movie still stands out. On the other side there, you got One False Move, which is Billy Bob Thornton's first big screenplay, way before Sling Blade. He wrote and starred in One False Move, and it's a great. Bill Paxton's in it. Just a really, really quality thriller. Again, like the noir kind of detective-y kind of thing. I agree. Mindhunters is a trip. Really underrated and just bizarre. Just watched the episode of Fresh Prince where Don guested as Ice Pick. That's hilarious. Dollar Bin, what's up? We're just running through great movies, great African Americans in movies. Or in this case, Carl Franklin is a director, and he directed both of these movies. So I'm just talking movies, having a cocktail, and hanging out. Let's check back into the chat here. I can kind of remove that and say, hey, how you guys going? Dollar Ben, I'm glad to hear you're feeling better. I hoping next weekend we can hit up J&J Comics and hang out or something. Let's see here. Did I miss a couple of things? Sidney Poitier, he will come up here in a little bit. We'll get to him for sure. Absolutely. Couldn't get through the first 10 days and not mention him. So just so you know, I'm doing a person every day on my Instagram. So I'm counting down the top 10, or the first, not top 10, sorry, the first 10 that I did, because I didn't put them in any specific order. HBO Max, man, heck yeah, a lot of good stuff on there for sure. Yeah, I needed it. It was getting bad. It was getting very bad. But it's just, yeah, I don't have a lot left. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. I'm sorry I missed the show earlier. I caught the replay. I didn't leave a comment, but I clicked the like button. All right, so let's get back in here and see who's up next. Jaimin Hunsu, and I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. I forgot just how many comic book movies this dude has been in. Jaimin Hunsu has been in, I think, 5 different comic book movies, which is crazy. Carlito Classico, my man, how's it going, brother? We're talking great African Americans in cinema, and I'm on Jaimin Hunsu. He's the third gentleman for this evening. Yeah, obviously, Jaimin Hunsu's been in a ton of stuff. Most people know him from maybe the Marvel movies. I'm a big fan. He's just a really great performer. Clearly, some huge, heavy-hitting movies here. He had a small part in Stargate, the original Stargate movie. Of course, he was in Gladiator. He was the guy who befriends Russell Crowe, and they're in the Gladiator pit together. Amistad was when I first saw him, and he's the slave who takes over the slave ship and kills the captain and the crew. Constantine, Papa Midnight. That's what he's saying right there. There's my man, Papa. He played Papa Midnight. He was even on, the TV show ER and a bunch of other stuff, just in a ton of things. Never Back Down. Great movie. Bearded comic bro knows his movies. Here's a few more. Blood Diamond. He did Shakespeare, and there he is on the poster for Tempest. Just a really talented guy. Obviously, Fast 8 or whatever it's called, Fast and the Furious 8. I don't know what they called that one. The Fate of the Furious, something like that. I can't remember what they called those. And then here's some of those comic book roles. He's in Aquaman. There he is in like CGI as Aquaman. Shazam, obviously Captain Marvel and Guardians, and Constantine. Those are the 5 comic book movies that I've seen him in. So clearly he's getting a lot of roles in comic book movies. Yeah, he's in Guardians. You got it there. Yeah. And he's in Captain Marvel, which was like, he's playing the same role, right? There it is. See, look, Bearded knows. He's down on this. So like I said, I'm finishing each one of these people off with a little of my favorite movies that they're in. And these are the 2 that I would probably recommend the most. Obviously, Blood Diamond it's a really powerful, great movie. Leonardo's great in it, and Jaimin's great in it, and the dynamic between the 2 of them is really, really powerful. Gore Vidal is here. Gore, I'm literally doing this for you. Not like literally, but like basically, yes, I'm doing this for you. I told you, Gore, in another live stream that I've been doing this thing on my Instagram, counting down my favorite 30, not really counting down, they're not in order or anything, but just 30 of my favorite African Americans in cinema. So we're on Jaimin Hunsu right now, and I'm finishing with 2 of his films that maybe people might have missed, like Blood Diamond, and my personal favorite is probably In America, about Irish immigrants coming to New York in the early 2000s. And Jaimin plays their neighbor downstairs who really doesn't like these annoying girls that are moved in. And then little by little, of course, creates a connection to them. Really, really great. Let's see what Gore's got to say. So, Gore, I'm so glad you're here. Good evening, John. I know him from Amistad, right? Despite Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, John Quincy Adams, Anthony Hopkins nailed that part. Yeah. And honestly, Jaimin Hunsu probably steals that movie. He is just so riveting in that movie. Very heavy topics in Blood Diamond. And I would argue, in America, it's a fractured family. It's the 2 daughters and the husband and wife. And because they're immigrants, they can't really get jobs, and dad and mom are suffering because they've lost a child. And it's just powerful. It's just a really powerful movie. And Djimon Hounsou's role is just really, really great. I'm all about the heavy stuff, unfortunately. Hey, no, me too, brother. That's what sticks with me, honestly. The heavier movies stick with me. And In America is very powerful, very heavy, but it's also just really emotionally kind of rewarding. Like, you feel by the end, there's a catharsis, a beautiful kind of growth that kind of happens there. I think is just a really beautiful movie. So if you haven't seen In America, it's a wonderful look at the challenges in being poor and being in a slum and not being able to work and being an immigrant, and some really, these are Irish immigrants, and just really talented acting all across the board. So some great, great, great stuff. Werewolf saying, all the soccer players in the UK will have BLM on their shirts instead of their name starting next week. Ridiculous that it came to this. Yeah. And again, I'm not, obviously I'm from probably the most liberal state in our union, and I'm a teacher, and, but I really wasn't doing this list to be like super political. I just wanted to keep conversations going. And I noticed that when I went to film school, a lot of my films that I loved from African Americans would have these undertones because they are from their personal experience. The actors, writers, producers, directors would draw on their own personal experience. And so you have these elements coming out that have an authenticity based on their own personal experience or their own worldview. So I was kind of happy to share some of the films and filmmakers that I think might maybe enrich you guys. If you see one of these movies because of it being talked here, then I mean, that's just awesome. That's a bonus, I think, So I was just hoping to be a part of the conversation, and as much as I'm trying to be a better listener, I wanted to be involved in sharing a little something too. I'm from Iowa. Maybe you don't know. I'm just kidding. So let's get on to another great director. It's funny. I talked to my wife about this guy, and even she was like, I've never heard of this director before. And I'm like, he's basically the Steven Spielberg of the African-American community. This guy has done some of the biggest movies, and yet it's shocking how few people know his name. He was probably the first or second director whose name I wrote down. I just really love F. Gary Gray's movies, and it's shocking how big a name he is in Hollywood, but how few people outside of African-American communities know of him. Gore Vidal says, John Quincy Adams, after he lost presidential re-election at Jackson, ran for Congress, and during his congressional term, he became the most prominent anti-slavery proponents. There you go. Good for that. Kachung is here. Hello. Okay, so F. Gary Gray, really, really talented filmmaker, made some great movies. There's two of them right there. And I think you'll be surprised if you haven't heard of him, how many of his movies you've seen. He got started making rap videos. That was kind of his from getting into filmmaking in general. So movies for NWA, obviously you see Ice Cube there, you see TLC there. I mean, he just really was on the forefront of rap music and music videos. And he made like a lot of connections and close friends that would be a big part of his career as he kind of went forward. You can see Tupac in the corner there, because I think he was famous for this NWA video after Tupac had died. He made this video that included some footage of Tupac at the end, and it was a very powerful message that was kind of in the middle of this East-West Coast kind of rap war thing. He was right there in the center of it. So he was really just really on the front lines of music at that time. He segued into making movies and obviously hit huge pay dirt with Friday. right? Friday is an absolutely phenomenal movie. If you guys haven't seen Friday, it's freaking hilarious. And that's, if you watch Discovery Based Channel, he was constantly running clips from Friday because it's perfect. It is a perfect movie. Friday is amazing. He also had Set It Off, a nice little heist thriller movie. Lots of great ladies in that one. And then the chat is tearing it up because they knew this director, Carlito saying Negotiator. Well, there it is, my brother. Negotiator, I think, is an amazing movie. So it's awesome that you guys know who this director is, and you know these. Look at this. This chat knows what's up. How you get fired on your day off, right? How you get fired on your day off? It's Friday. Got nothing to do. You got no job, right? It was a huge gamble. I agree. And then Set It Off. I mean, he hit pay dirt on a couple of his early movies, and it allowed him to make Negotiator, which one of the things I wanted to say about Negotiator is it's this like tour de force of character actors. Like every single actor in the movie is a character actor, or was at that time. Like Samuel Jackson and Kevin Spacey were not big names. They both had a couple of hits, Pulp Fiction and Usual Suspects, but they were not big stars. They were not bankable. And in this, they throw them in with like David Morse and all these other great character actors. And it's this amazing chemistry. Paul Giamatti, all these great actors who were character actors at the time, had this little roles to shine. Superpower review. What's up? And I think one of the things I love about Negotiator is just the quality of acting, top to bottom, is just fire. Absolutely fire. So Sam Jackson and Kevin Spacey obviously at the top of that. And then, of course, he's turned into one of the biggest sort of action directors of our time. Italian Job, Fate of the Furious, the newest Men in Black movie. I mean, he's made some huge, huge movies. And as far as an African-American filmmaker, you just can't get bigger, I think, than F. Gary Gray. And for me, obviously, Straight Outta Compton is top of the line. He went back to his roots and got to basically tell the story of NWA and do this amazing award-nominated movie that really was a real different sort of film for him, a historical almost kind of film, and just an amazing, amazing movie. So if I was going to pick two from F. Gary Gray's filmography for you to check out, those would be the two to check out. Friday, like the beginning and the end of like his career right now. I think Friday and Straight Outta Compton are amazing movies, and everyone should see them. Absolutely amazing. Could not agree with that more. Bearded Comic Bro. It was my favorite movie that year. Absolutely. It was, shockingly, dramatically, accurately depicted because he knew it. He grew up doing those videos and hanging with those guys. Like he knew it. I heard the new, I haven't seen the new MIB, but I have not liked any of the sequels. So I don't feel, I feel like the original movie is great. And then nobody knew what to do with it from there. Nobody knew what they were trying to do. All right. Kevin's got more stories. Kevin's got stories. So I like F. Gary Gray's movies, and I think he's definitely worth the time for sure. I was raised on in Compton and Inglewood. All right, nice. Joel the Geek, my boy, how you doing, man? Are you hanging out in the Geek Fort tomorrow? Is that tomorrow? I think it's Sundays, right? Straight Outta Compton is great. I agree, Carlito. I think it got overlooked a little bit because people thought people prejudged it, I think, a little bit. And it's too bad because it's a really, really, really good movie. Not nice, gnarly. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's probably the reality of it, right? I am. Okay, so he is going to be at the Geek Fort tomorrow. Nice. Nickname of Compton Carl. There you go. Carlito Clasico. Back in the day. There you go. All right, we're going to go on to another one of my favorite actors, current actors. I am a big Jeffrey Wright fan and a great character actor who's been in just an absolute ton of stuff. And currently, he's on Westworld, which is probably where most people know him from. But I like Jeffrey Wright a ton. A Broadway actor and independent film guy. He was in Syriana, which was a great film. I first heard of him when he did Basquiat, but I didn't see that till way later. And of course, he's just amazing as the painter Basquiat. He is an amazing actor. I fully agree, Joel. Really, really talented. I had friends that we hung out together. Nice. Back in '87. Okay. I think Jeffrey Wright is definitely underrated, and I think he's just awesome. And here's a couple of his movies. I mean, I love him in Broken Flowers with Bill Murray. I think the two of them have a few scenes together that are hilarious, just really, really good. He was on Boardwalk Empire. Yes, indeed. And Hamlet, he did Hamlet with Ethan Hawke. Like I said, a Broadway actor, stage actor, just really, really talented. He's been in some huge movies. Casino Royale, Source Code, really good movie. Catching Fire, The Hunger Games, right? Ali. He has been in a little bit of everything forever. I first saw him in Shaft. He's the bad guy in Samuel Jackson's like reboot of Shaft, and he is phenomenal in that movie. He slays me in that movie. So good. Really, really great. And he is great in those Bond movies. I totally agree, Joel. Absolutely great. And then, of course, on HBO, he's just been doing a ton of stuff. So here's his like HBO resume, if you will. Westworld, Boardwalk, and my personal favorite is Angels in America. I absolutely love Angels in America. Michael, I was talking about Bill Duke earlier. I know you did Commando earlier this evening. Great show. Awesome, awesome stuff. He did a good Colin Powell, right? Michael, I'm just kind of going through the Instagram thing that I've been doing to highlight great African Americans in cinema. So I started with Bill Duke. I think I'm about halfway through my list here. This is Jeffrey Wright. And I wanted to talk a little bit about my favorites that he has done. Here's his stuff for HBO. He's done a bunch of stuff for HBO. If I was going to recommend two that I rewatch and really enjoy, it would probably be these two. I think he's been great in all the Bond films, but Casino Royale, the more I watch it, it might be my favorite Bond film. He might beat Sean Connery with this movie. And this movie is so perfect, Casino Royale. And then I'm a big fan of Angels in America. I think the artistry, the acting, the style of it, it really speaks to me, and I just think it's amazing. And Jeffrey Wright did the show on Broadway. He won a Tony. He does the same role here in the miniseries on HBO, and he's just amazing. Loathed Lady in the Water. Yeah, that's tough. Jeffrey Wright is incredible. I agree. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. I love this chat. You guys are awesome. I love it. I agree. Jeffrey Wright is incredible. I mean, the guy is super talented. I love him on Westworld. He's been great. I have not done Billy D. Williams yet. Chris Barrett, you're right. I have not. So today's the 13th. So I'm not even halfway done with my 30 African Americans in cinema. So there's plenty more to come, but I have not done Billy D. Williams, which brings up a great point. If you want to, after this video is up, if you catch it on the replay or you come by later, you can leave a comment for anybody that you feel like I haven't gotten to yet, that you feel like don't forget this person. Because I've had a lot of people on Instagram hitting me up. Billy D is the reason I drink Colt 45. So yeah, definitely leave me some if you want. Absolutely happy to hear it. Carl Weathers, good one again. I get the feeling this group loves 80s movies. So there's definitely a lot of 80s love going around this room. Thank you guys for coming by. This is awesome. Back to Lady in the Water. I'm not a I ride the roller coaster like most people, I think, on M. Night. So I own like 3 of his movies. But man, he does when he screws up, he runs into that wall straight. He just plows right into it. But when he really delivers, it's hard to beat it, man. He is a talented filmmaker when he's firing on all cylinders. Shaft. Are you talking about the Samuel Jackson one, or are you talking about the original Shaft? Nichelle Nichols is amazing. Sadly, I'm doing cinema. So, they can still have TV show works, but I'm trying to think of actors from film. And Nichelle was obviously more of a television actor for the most part, besides the Star Trek films. Samuel Jackson hasn't come up yet, right? Looking at his IMDb, and it says he will be the voice of the Watcher in the What If series. Jeffrey Wright? Joel, that would be freaking awesome. I already wanted to see What If more than anything. Like, of all the Disney things that they had announced for Disney Plus, What If was like number 1. And if they've got Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher, done. I am in. Sign me up, brother. I am in. All right, so let's check out the next gentleman, another comic book veteran. We got Mr. Forrest Whitaker, folks. Love me some Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker, he's one of those guys that is like deceptive in his filmography because you forget, I think, sometimes how many freaking movies this guy's done. And it every single time I see him in a movie, I'm captivated by what he's doing, right? I feel like I see this guy and I'm thinking, man, he's delivering, even in a small part, or of course, there in Ghost Dog and Last King of Scotland, he's just fire. Who doesn't love Forrest? Yeah, Forrest Whitaker is fire in everything, right? Gore Vidal is my man because he knows where I'm going with this, right? Look at this list, man. Look at this list of great early films from the guy. He got a cameo in Platoon, a great cameo in Platoon. Cameo in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Come on. Color of Money with Cruise and Newman. Dude, slaying it. Then we segue into bigger parts. He is at the very beginning of The Crying Game, and he is perfection. He makes The Crying Game work because of his early scenes in that movie. Great movie. Yeah, he's got a small part. Joel, if you blink, you're going to miss him. You're going to blink and miss him. And then I took note of him in the other 2 movies on this list. You've behaved in the chat till now. Hey, Battlefield Earth is straight garbaggio, brother, but I don't blame Forrest Whitaker for that. I definitely blame John Travolta for that. But I first saw him in Good Morning Vietnam, which is this costume the he's in right here. This is a shot from Good Morning Vietnam, and he is so good in that movie. He's like the heart of that movie in a way. I think he is this wonderfully naive and caring, and just he's the bridge between the military and the Robin Williams character. I just really think he's great in that movie. And then a lot of people forget he was in a really great Clint Eastwood movie. His first lead role was in a movie called Bird about Charlie Bird Parker, the musician, the jazz musician. And Forrest Whitaker's amazing in that movie. Don't blame Travolta, blame L. Ron Hubbard. That's a fair point. It's a fair point. I blame John Travolta for most of my problems. Oh, you guys are slaying it. You guys are amazing. Amazing. Yeah, Bird is a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, if you're a Clint Eastwood fan, he's not in it. He just directs it, but it's a really, really good look at jazz music and just really, really good. I have not gotten to Denzel and Pryor yet, but Denzel's going to make it. Pryor, I haven't decided about Pryor yet, but I'd love to hear your argument, Kachung. My problem with Richard Pryor is he has a handful of great movies, a big list of pretty bad movies, and then a ton of great stand-up comedy, which I struggle to count it. So I'm struggling with Richard Pryor if he's going to make the list in the end. He's on the long list, but will he make the short list? I just don't know. I put Eddie Murphy ahead of him. Spoiler alert. Eddie Murphy made it because I think Eddie Murphy has had a better film career. But I think the argument could be made, right, about both of them. Superman 3 is so crappy. Come on, man. And he's not in Blazing Saddles. Like, he was supposed to be, but he wasn't. He just helped write it. So again, how do you it's tricky. Joel Geek, you act like I don't have that shirt already made. Oh, too funny. If you guys don't know Joel and Bearded, you guys should check out their channels, their Instagrams. These guys are awesome. Really, really good people. But let's keep going with Forrest Whitaker here. He does a ton of indie films, including directing and producing. I can't recommend this movie enough. And I'm not going to get worked up about it, but you will cry. This movie, Fruitvale Station, is amazing, and incredibly topical about a young gentleman who should not have died, but did. And Forrest Whitaker produced this movie and helped to get it made. It stars one of the gentlemen from Killmonger from Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan, and it is a really amazing movie. If you haven't seen Fruitvale Station, and it's streaming somewhere, and I know it was on Netflix for a little while, and it's probably not anymore, but I cannot recommend this movie enough. It's really, really good. Forrest Whitaker has also directed movies. Hope Floats, Waiting to Exhale are two of his movies that he directed. They're right there. I know, Coach Vic, I'm sorry, brother. You're trying to chill, and I bring up Fruitvale Station. It's a really good movie, and I'm sorry to be heavy about it, but that movie is it's worth any price of admission. It's just that good. If you're talking Forrest Whitaker's acting, I'm a big Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai fan. That movie is really cool, really wacky. It's it's Jarmusch, it's just wacky. He directed Hope Floats. Yeah, he did. Joel. And of course, he won the Oscar. I believe he won the Oscar for Last King of Scotland, where he played Idi Amin. If you consider producer and director roles, then you have to consider Pryor for Blazing Saddles. I agree. Chris Barrett, you are 100% correct. I agree. But The Last King of Scotland, wow, he is so mind-blowingly good. He is Idi Amin in that movie. I mean, he is perfect. Yeah, he won the Oscar. Okay, I thought he did, but it's cocktails. I'm having cocktails while I do this, so it's possible that I derail this show a little bit. What are you gonna do? So let's get to the last page of the slides here. I believe I have one more. His blockbusters, man. This guy's been in some huge, huge hits. There he is in Rogue One. He might have been the best performance in Rogue One. He is so freaking good by now. Yeah, he just slays it. He's so good. But of course, Black Panther, he's got a great little role in that. Panic Room, he is underrated in Panic Room. I really do enjoy him in that. The Butler, I mean, it was a huge movie. I'm not a huge fan, but it's good. And then, of course, I'm a huge fan of Arrival, and he's in that as well. And I think he just slays in that. He did go cannibal. He went nuts for Last King. He was just crazy. The chat will keep the show on track. He should have gotten several Oscars. I agree with that as well. Honestly, Panic Room, he stole Panic Room for me. He's great in that movie. Really underrated. I'm spoiling your slides like usual. Do it, brother. Do it. I don't care. I'm doing this. I'm doing this for one reason. One, now I'm saying two. I'm doing it for two reasons. One, I was enjoying it on Instagram and I wanted to have a conversation with you all. Two, my man Gore Vidal doesn't have Instagram, and he knows his movies, he knows his pop culture, and I wanted to include Gore in this conversation. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? Every so often, I'm going to do 10 of these great actors, writers, and directors in cinema, and I'm going to make sure I do it as a live stream and hope that Gore can jump in. He did the voice of the character from Rogue One in the animated show Star Wars Rebels. Okay. So he's always done that character. Did anybody else ever do that character? Did that character appear in like the Clone Wars or anything? Was it a different actor at that point? I don't know the animated Star Wars as much. I watched a few and then I just I lost interest. We all do. Fingers crossed for Billy D. Williams. He did so many movies. I agree. Hey, he was the original Harvey Dent, Kachung. Let's just be honest. Billy D. Williams was the original Harvey Dent, right? Way before any of those other people tried to pretend to be Harvey Dent, he was the first. I am a teacher. I make my slides. Yeah, that's me. Sorry. Brian Song, great movie. Fact. I just started Clone Wars. Don't spoil it. I can't spoil it. It's not possible for me to spoil it. I saw 2 episodes and I was like, it's not for me. And I just moved on. Chaos in Comics is going to crap a brick when he hears that. So if I was going to recommend 2 Forest Whitaker movies, it would be hard to just pick 2, but these are the 2 that hit me in the heart the most. His role in Good Morning Vietnam hits me straight up. And I cry every time I watch The Arrival. That movie slays me. He is Two-Face. Heck yeah, man. I wanted to see his version of Two-Face. If Tim Burton had been able to do that movie, that Two-Face in the Tim Burton style, that would have been friggin' fire with Billy D. Williams. Amazing. Brian Song, before Rudy was written. Yeah. He did his version of Rudy before Rudy was made. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love Arrival, and I think it's just a beautiful movie, and yeah, it slays me every time. I just start bawling every time. Have you seen Forest Whitaker? Sorry, in Harlem Godfather? I don't think I have. Oh, is that the Epix TV series? I don't have Epix, so I will have to figure out how I can see some of those. I've just got Hulu, so I'm catching up on some of the Hulu shows. I'm always behind on shows. I cut the cable, so I'm trying to catch up on things here and there. He did get to be Two-Face in the Lego Batman movie. Yeah. Bearded Comic Bro, man. You are on fire tonight, brother. You are slaying it. Godfather of Harlem. Okay. I'll have to keep that one in mind if I see it. I mean, he's awesome in everything. So gotta love him. I don't, brother. I don't have any. I have HBO Max or whatever. I'm paying for that. Just because there's too many HBO shows I can't miss, like The Watchmen last year, and I love John Oliver. John Oliver is amazing, so I love John Oliver. John Oliver's most recent episode on the police is actually really great. If you haven't seen it, I think it's on YouTube. You can watch the whole episode. He did a really interesting debate on the police. It was obviously political, but he hits just as hard on Clinton as he hits on anybody. I mean, he really lays people out. I thought it was a really interesting look at the issues we're having with police. I thought he raised some really good points, and I was really impressed. Tim Burton wanted Marlon Wayans as Robin? I never heard that rumor. That hurt a little bit. All the Harry Potters. Okay. Billy D won back the Falcon. Yeah, he did. John, look at the spelling of Cinemax. I saw it, Chris. I saw it, brother. You don't need to tell me. Let's move on to the next person here. We got Viola Davis. Viola Davis is a very talented lady, and she's one of those ladies that can do a ton with like very little time on screen, and has really done some amazing work in small parts in a ton of movies. I've highlighted a few films where she's a little more prominent and one TV show, but as far as like key parts in movies, Look at this. I can't even explain how good she is in these movies. In the movie Doubt, in the upper corner there, she was nominated for an Oscar for one scene in that freaking movie. She is so good in one scene. She got nominated for an Oscar. That's how good. She is so freaking amazing. Hello, Magic Lasso. Nice to have you here. Chris Barrett says, I only know Viola from How to Get Away with Murder. She is great on that. And I'll get to that one in a second for sure. I love her from the Soderbergh films, Out of Sight, and on the far side there, Solaris. Both Clooney movies, but she's got a great little part. I first saw her in Out of Sight, where she plays Moselle, a woman whose brother is a gangster, and she's forced to live with him, and her dog recently died. And she shares this amazing scene with Jennifer Lopez, and she steals her moment. I mean, it's really, really great. And then Solaris is the outer space remake of the Russian film, the epic Russian film. But Soderbergh did a great job, I think, of condensing that story down. And she plays one of the other astronauts who's experiencing these unusual phenomena at the space station that they're on. Really, really great. She did kill it in Doubt. I mean, dude, one scene and she kills you. She just slays you. Hello, CC Collector. Good to see you in here, man. I appreciate you coming by. So these are just some of the like small parts. Far From Heaven is this one right here. A really, really great movie. Dennis Haysbert, another great African-American in cinema. So here are some of her bigger films. Obviously, you know, Amanda Waller. I think I said that right. Yeah. Suicide Squad. She's perfectly cast as that character. Every time I've read that character in the comics, that's just like she's just perfect. In the early 90s, Viola Davis starred in a To Kill a Mockingbird TV series along with Sam Waterston. That sounds amazing. It was called I'll Fly Away. God, I think I might have seen that. I didn't realize it was a TV series. I'm going to look that up, Gore. Thank you for that, brother. Much appreciated. Fences was the great play about segregation and the effects long term. Denzel and Viola were doing it on stage, and then he directed a film version of Fences about a baseball player who, because of segregation, couldn't play and then missed his shot and always kind of regretted it. On the far side, you've got the movie Get On Up, which is the biopic of James Brown, and she was in that as I think one of his wives in that. And then, of course, my favorite of this page is The Help. It's an amazing book, an absolutely amazing book. Chris Barrett says, I'll be honest, unless it's Billy D, Carl Weathers, Mr. T, I'm going to tell you right now, Mr. T, he ain't going to make it. So you can pity me being a fool. Mr. T is not going to make it. And Shaft. I feel that Viola was in I forgot. Yeah, she's great in Suicide Squad. They both won Tonys for that. I did not realize they both won Tonys for that. Sent you the Robin link in your Instagram. All right, let me go check that out, brother. He sent it to my Instagram. Let's check it out. Boom, boom, boom. Marlon Wayans got paid $100,000 for Batman Returns and still receives royalty checks. That is freaking amazing. That is amazing. Thank you so much for sending that, brother. That is awesome. That is hilarious. Mr. T was in Rocky 3. I'm not giving it to him for one movie. It's just not happening. Not happening. Did you cover Butterfly McQueen yet? I did not. Let's move on here with her. I bring this up I'm doing cinema, and she makes it on Cinema Alone, but she's also a groundbreaker. There are not many African-American actresses who could lead a show, be the show star on a major network for I think it's 6 years this show ran. It just doesn't happen that often. And I think it takes a rare actor and a rare writer or showrunner like Shonda Rhimes to really make that work. And so huge props for being able to pull off How to Get Away with Murder. She is just a talent, and straight up, she's a boss, straight up. If I was going to recommend 2 movies for Viola Davis, it would be The Help, which is just perfection, absolute perfection, top to bottom. And I'll probably mention it again if Octavia Spencer drops in later on in my lists. And then Out of Sight, I think, is a really underrated movie. It's got Don Cheadle and Ving Rhames and Viola Davis all in cameo spots. Isaiah Washington, and then of course J-Lo and George Clooney at the top in the lead roles. Just great. It's a great movie. I really love Out of Sight. Mr. T was in the first 2 WrestleManias. He fought Roddy Piper and he fought with Hulk Hogan. There you go. There's my man, Carlito. Heck yeah. I like Dennis Haysbert a ton. I think Dennis Haysbert's great, except that he's doing really crappy commercials now on Hulu, which bothers me. Let's see here. Don't worry, Kachung. I got you, brother. I got you. Mr. Coach Vic. Don't worry. I got you. We're ready to move on. I can tell these guys are ready. They're spitting fire. Let's see what we got here. Hey, I put her on the thumbnail for a reason. I've been in love with Pam Grier since I knew what attraction was. Freaking Pam Grier, man. A goddess. She's a goddess. I don't care about wrestling. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just going to pass right past that. Pam Grier is a goddess. She is amazing. If I could cast my vision for the X-Men of picking any actors from any era at any age, young Pam Grier is Storm. She's amazing. She is so freaking talented. Absolutely amazing. And I'm going to click on Gore's every comment from Gore. I'm clicking on. Just know it. You're all being able to hang out with Bearded and Gore as we have a conversation together. I'll Fly Away aired on NBC, I think, but was canceled despite critical acclaim. PBS decided to continue with it afterwards. The actor who played Pink in Dazed and Confused was Watterson's son. Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean, I think she is definitely Storm for me. She is that sort of iconic, female African-American empowerment, the blaxploitation era, but then on into this iconic role for me. And I'm gonna straight up say Carlito Classico knows where I'm going with this. But let's start with her blaxploitation era stuff. Coffee, Foxy Brown, Friday Foster. I mean, look at her with that shotgun right there. Come on, the big hoop earring. She's just ready to kick some ass, right? Kicking some ass. I'm a Foxy Brown fan, personally. I think of the 3, that's probably my favorite, but they do mingle all together in my mind. But shout out to a couple of smaller roles in Something Wicked This Way Comes and Fort Apache, The Bronx, where she has some fun cameos in those movies. It's a great word for her, is iconic. John is going to have Gore and myself on the next show. Hey, I'm down with that, brother. I said I'd throw the link out to people that wanted to come on for sure. Mentioned Mars Attacks. Yeah, she had a ton of, after the blaxploitation era, it took her a while to kind of catch some traction again. People shied away from her, so it took her a while to find her next sort of big roles. But dude, she was Steven Seagal's partner in Above the Law. Come on, man. And then, yeah, you guys are saying Mars Attacks. I included Escape from LA, and here's why. It's not a great movie. It was the first movie I took my wife to go see on a date night, and she stuck it out. So there you go. But any woman who can be Amanda Waller, Steven Seagal's partner, and rescue Snake Plissken, that's a trifecta, folks. She has achieved the trifecta. I don't think there's any other phase that she needs to worry about. And of course, being the title lead character in a Quentin Tarantino movie. Love me some Jackie Brown. And there she has a cameo in Iron Fists as well. She has great TV work too. She was in The L Word from top to bottom. She's great on that. You guys mentioned Amanda Waller from Smallville. She's got a show right now called Bless This Mess that she's on right now. I love me some Pam Grier, man. I could watch anything with Pam Grier at any point. She's just freaking awesome. If I was going to pick two, I'd say the two that impacted me the most are probably these two. And yeah, Carlito, she's in this. So in Something Wicked This Way Comes, there is this sort of voodoo witch woman who shows Jason Robards what he would have looked like if he was young. She sort of sits over his shoulder and kind of casts a spell on him. And that's Pam Grier. She is gorgeous. And I absolutely think she steals certain portions of this movie. And yet again, it was another moment to just fall in love with her. She's just amazing. Something Wicked This Way Comes is a thriller horror for kids, though. It's not like graphic violence, but it's the idea of the carnival that comes to town that has mysterious powers. Definitely gives you nightmares, legit. And so I really kind of enjoy her part in the carnival and what she's doing at the carnival. I haven't gotten to Halle Berry yet. Halle Berry is one of those actresses that I love her at some weekends and I hate her on other weekends. So she rides the hurricane for me. It's really challenging. Just bring me on when you talk Denzel. That should be in my next round here. You know Denzel's coming. You can't make a list like this and not include somebody like Denzel. It's very Sienkiewicz, yeah, for sure. And then, of course, Jackie Brown, I think, is possibly the most underrated Quentin Tarantino movie and might be the most mature and most sort of romantic of the Quentin Tarantino films. And, of course, you fall in love with her all over again in that movie. She's just great. Let's take a look at this chat. It's flying by, so I want to make sure I say a little hellos to some of y'all. Let's see here. Kachung said, poster looks Sienkiewicz. Disney still has it on moratorium. Ooh, that is a shame. I didn't realize that they had it on moratorium. That is a crime. That is a bummer. Sorry, I didn't mean to click that back up again. Let me minimize that. That sucks. I hope they bring it back at some point. I haven't seen it in a good while, but it's really great. Yeah, it does come from. Look at Joel. Joel's my man. He knows what's up. He knows what's up. I need to revisit that movie. There you go. I think I got everybody. Yeah, the poster is very intriguing. Jonathan Pryce. He's the guy running the carnival, and he definitely messes with you. I recently finally watched Pelham 123. I'd stayed away from it for a while because Travolta. I have a love-hate Travolta relationship, so it's hard. It's a Ray Bradbury book, right? Which is why you will not be on with John talking about Denzel. Chris, you are wrong, which is why. Oh, what is Chris wrong about? I mean, regularly wrong, but whatever. Sorry, Something Wicked comes from Ray Bradbury. It was one of the late Danny O'Neill's favorite films. Bringing up Danny. Thank you, Gore, for reminding us and bringing that up because he was a comic book talent that we lost recently. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Something Wicked This Way Comes is a really, really great movie. And I was affected by it as a kid in many like traumatizing and wonderful kind of ways. I really, really do enjoy that movie. It was a good Travolta movie post Pulp Fiction. There you go. What did Chris say? Taking Pelham 123. That's what he was saying. Okay, there you go. Now I get you. I'm with you. So this gentleman was brought up several times. Let's get back to the list here. I said if you make a list like this, you have to bring up Denzel. But the truth is, before you bring up Denzel, you bring up Sidney Poitier. Because he's freaking Sidney Poitier. The guy broke so many barriers, right? The first African American to win Best Actor. I can't even talk about 1967, the year, and the impact this gentleman had. I mean, it is just. I can't even. Met Danny. Oh, some people met Danny at San Diego. There you go. Sidney is super iconic. Yeah, a legend. And there's two of his movies, right? In the Heat of the Night and the Defiant Ones. Yeah, he is the GOAT. On this list, he's the GOAT, right? And here's some of his early films. He won the Oscar for Lilies of the Field. Great movie. He was in a musical, Porgy and Bess. I really enjoyed Raisin in the Sun. I don't think I've seen Blackboard Jungle, which is one of his earliest films. I definitely need to find that at some point. Sidney Poitier, then Shaft Jr., a.k.a. Sam Jackson, then Denzel. That's a good list. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and In the Heat of the Night are classic films. He put up with so much nonsense and yet persevered to become one of our greatest actors. And I would add, and directors, because he directed a ton of movies, including a lot of those Richard Pryor movies that you guys are all shouting out, and some Bill Cosby movies as well. I've heard just about every black person I know over 50 is afraid. Yeah, he's heard that phrase. They call me Mr. Tibbs. Great performance. So yeah, let's get to that page, because this is unbelievable. So these three movies all came out in 1967. He had these three movies all in 1 year. I mean, most actors would probably say To Sir with Love, if they were able to be in that movie at that time, would be the high watermark of their career. That's not even the high watermark of the year 1967 for this guy. That's how good an actor and how many great movies this guy had. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and In the Heat of the Night and To Sir with Love. In 1 year, this actor who was breaking barriers for African Americans so that they didn't have to be the bad guy, they didn't have to be the butler or the servant, they could actually be a role of significance. In 1 year, in 1967, he played a teacher, a doctor, and a police detective, and led those and was the star in those three movies. Holy crap! This guy is insane. A year like that, yeah, exactly. In 1 year, that's just incredible. That he could have retired at that point and still been the GOAT on this list. He could have retired in 1968 and still been the GOAT on this list. I'm just saying, holy crap. And I will say, I'll get to that last comment I'll go to he got two more slides. So let's do two more slides for Sidney Poitier. He went on to be a director, and he kept making films. He has small parts in the Bruce Willis's crappy Jackal movie. I love Sneakers. I think Sneakers is an underrated movie. I think Shoot to Kill is an underrated movie, Tom Berenger movie. He directed Stir Crazy with Gene Wilder. He continued to be vital in film after his acting career was winding down. And again, he did films with Cosby. He did films with Richard Pryor. Sadly, Cosby probably won't make the list retrospectively, although he wasn't really a film guy. He was more of a TV guy. So he continued to kind of be vital in film. Gore says, In the Heat of the Night caused a lot of controversy, especially in the South. Yeah. The scene where Sidney slaps a white man and gets away with it in the film was not seen in the movies. Yeah, I heard that there were versions of the film that were cut differently. Jack Black was in Jackal. Yeah, wasn't he like a computer analyst or something? I can't remember. Yeah, I knew what you meant, Gore. I knew what you meant, brother. Sadly, Isaac Hayes will not make my list. I only get 30 slots, Chris. 30 slots, man. It's all gravy. It's the top. It's the cream of the crop here, brother. I love me some Isaac Hayes, but he's a musician first, and he's an actor, like way down the list. So let's get to the two movies. He got shot up by Bruce. Okay. Hey, we could all dream for that, right, Bearded? If I was just going to recommend 2 movies, it would be these 2, and here's why. I think it's shocking that people these days don't know these movies, and I've spoken to many of my friends who aren't big movie buffs or just see movies casually, and they've never heard of these movies. I'm sure that Perry probably has never heard of these movies. These movies are just as relevant, just as important today. In the Heat of the Night, if you don't know, he's a detective. He goes down south and he gets arrested for murder because there's a crime and he's black. And this is 1967. And he then decides, when he is exonerated, to go and help solve the crime in a way. And to kind of rub the white police officer's nose in the fact that he fucked up. It's such a good movie. So good that he was able to follow it up and repeat this character in future films. So good, so powerful, so well acted. Rod Steiger and others. I mean, it was just really, really ahead of its time. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner stars like some of the best actors of the day. I mean, Hepburn, Spencer Tracy. It's really just an amazing look at interracial relationships at a time in 1967 when even the most liberal characters, the Hepburn Tracys, had to be uncomfortable with the concept of their white daughter dating a black man, even one who was going to become a successful doctor. It is powerful. It is funny at some points, and it is beautifully wrought. And again, just as vital today. And it's disgusting to me how few people have seen these movies. And I think well worth watching a few times over. So sorry to get heavy, but if you were going to distill my show tonight down to 2 movies, there they are. Skip all the rest. Watch these 2. That's the lesson here. Watch those 2 movies. Come on, Isaac Hayes is the cream of the crop. He was chef. He was, but that's TV, brother. We're doing cinema here. Although he was in one. I know they did one great South Park movie. I appreciate that. He was knighted. Yes, sorry. He is Sir Sidney Poitier. And so good that they did a play with like the main character pretending to be Sidney Poitier's son. If you haven't seen the film version, Will Smith did. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the. Somebody in the chat's going to tell me. Donald Sutherland and Will Smith. Oh man, that's going to hurt that I can't remember the name of this movie. They did a movie version of the play, all about the young con man, the gay con man who pretends to be Sidney Poitier's son. Great movie. And I'm sorry that I can't remember it right now. I've been drinking. Sorry. Glad I found the show. Reminded me to check these out. Thanks, CC. I appreciate it, brother. Sorry. Gore said, these are essential. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner has the great Spencer Tracy, and Hepburn is superb. I think it was was it Tracy's last movie? That makes it even more beautiful. Absolutely. Thank you, Coach Vic. Coach Vic gets the heart for the day. It was 6 Degrees of Separation, which is a really underrated. Yeah, and Joel the Geek, I knew you'd be right there too, brother. I remember seeing that in the theater when I was still watching Fresh Prince on TV, and to see Will Smith playing that part, this gay con man in this independent film, it was like mind-blowing good. Well, there's still 17 spots left on my list, so we'll see if Will Smith can make it. If Will Smith makes the list, then Bill Cosby has to be on the list. Not true. This is not true. David Wayans is a funny guy in Major Payne. Yeah, Last Boy Scout is I like Last Boy Scout, and there's another Halle Berry movie. Let's see. Will Smith he's probably the highest paid black actor of all time. Probably the most successful financially, monetarily, the most successful Black actor of all time. So hard to ignore. All right, I'm glad this hung up here on the screen for that long, but let's move on to the final version. The final gentleman on our list for tonight is the director, writer, producer, actor, Spike Lee. Probably the most controversial filmmaker in my lifetime. I think he has done some of the movies that are most relevant to what's going on right now. He's got to be up there, highest paid actors. Yeah, Will Smith, legit. But Spike Lee, if you're looking for somebody who has been talking about these issues that we've been dealing with the last few weeks for a long time, it's this guy. So if Sidney Poitier is the actor, that probably is the GOAT on this list. The director GOAT on our list is this gentleman right here. And he has been probably, arguably, the most successful Black director for the longest period of time. I mean, I think he's been directing movies now for 4 decades. So he's been making money and being successful as a Black director for 4 decades. I don't know that any other African-American director has done this. So, more on you, brother. You've really done it. And you look at some of his movies. These are just his earliest movies, but yeah, Do the Right Thing, Jungle Fever, Mo Better Blues, She's Gotta Have It. He's acting in these movies. He's directing these movies. He's producing and writing these movies. Absolutely talented guy. And I agree, Do the Right Thing should have won an Oscar. Chris Bear says, I wrote a term paper in my senior year in high school on the influence of MLK and Malcolm on Do the Right Thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a big topic. The Malcolm method versus the Martin method. I think it's a lot of interesting discussion, right? I saw Do the Right Thing in a theater. We had not seen any film like that since Scorsese's early work. The film introduced many of us to the music of Public Enemy. Yep. Malcolm X is his best film. Ooh, there you go. There you go. I mean, I do love Malcolm X. It did not make my 2 picks. And honestly, I struggled picking 2. I could have easily done a high 5 and Malcolm would have made it for sure. So many good movies from this gentleman. And these are just his earliest films. There he is on the set of, I believe that was on the set of Do the Right Thing, and his director's chair. Like, look how young he looks, dude. He looks like he's 14 and he's just like slaying it right off the bat. Let's go to his 90s films. These are some of my favorites that he's done. Get on the Bus, way underrated movie on political protesting. He Got Game, I think, is a great look at sports and athletics and the effect on African-American communities. Denzel's got a great role in that film, and really, really great movie all around. Of course, Malcolm X, iconic. And I think Clockers might be one of the most underrated movies in Spike Lee's filmography. Jesus Shuttleworth is, yeah, exactly, Bearded. He knows that He Got Game. He knows that. The guy who wrote the book Clockers was one of the writers on The Wire. His name is Richard Price. And you can see his influence on The Wire over the course of that show. I think he really did some stuff. He Got Game is great. I fully agree. And yeah, his Air Jordan commercials, right? Mars Blackman. Yeah, man. Look at you. Coach Vic knows his stuff. Absolutely. Ray Allen, best 3-point shooters. There you go. Look at you guys. You guys know your stuff, man, for sure. So these are his more recent movies. The chat mentioned Black Klansman and Inside Man. Inside Man is just I feel like Inside Man was his chance to be like, let me show you that I can make a mainstream, like, just heist movie. Let me just show you that I can do it. That I don't need to just make political films that have a strong message at their core. I can also make a fun popcorn kind of movie. And it's a great movie. Inside Man is phenomenal. But his best movie in the last 20 years probably is this one right here. Black Klansman is phenomenal. And somebody mentioned it earlier. Where is it? Boom, Bearded Comic Bro. It's Denzel's son as the lead character, and he's amazing. I think the film just in general is phenomenal. It might be my second or third favorite film that he's done, but it's not underrated. It's definitely like super well known. I think it's just absolutely great movie, and a great piece of history that I had never heard of in my life that clearly should have been documented before now. For me, I just clearly missed out on it. He remade Old Boy. I never saw the movie, but I included it here. Chirac is not a bad movie. It's actually a really good movie. I enjoyed Chirac, about Chicago, and he uses Greek tragedy, Greek theater to kind of like bring up some really great ideas about Chicago's murder rate. Sorry, did I miss something from Gore? He says, many peacemakers, Chris, like MLK and Gandhi. Yeah, sure. My view is that in the end, Malcolm had the larger impact because in the end, all revolutionaries die a violent death. But didn't MLK die a violent death as well? And isn't it frustrating that it takes a martyr to sometimes create a movement? I think that's kind of a bummer. Old Boy was a bad translation. I saw the original film. I knew the whole story, so I skipped Spike Lee's version. I was kind of like, you know what? I really don't want to see this story again. It hurts, man. It hurts. That story is painful. It is messed up. Denzel Jr. is also great in Ballers. I've never watched that show on HBO with The Rock. I've never watched it. Let's see here. The original Old Boy was fantastic. Remake was okay at best. Okay. Bearded Comic Bro. I didn't see Lee's remake. Saw the original, which I enjoyed. Okay, there you go. I'm glad to know that I'm on pace there. So let's get in here to my two movies. If I had to pick just two, it would be hard to leave movies like Black Klansman and Malcolm X out. Those would probably be 3 and 4. I'm a big fan of Clockers. Everybody's going to pick Do the Right Thing, and they should. It's the tip of the pyramid, right? It's the tip of the sword, edge of the spear. I think I did that backwards. Tip of the spear, edge of the sword. Clockers is like, it's like a stepchild that got forgotten. And I think it's underrated in that it seems more like a police procedural, but it's not. It's like an episode of The Wire made into a movie for me. And the cinematography, the storytelling, and of course, look at the 3 actors here. Harvey Keitel, John Turturro, Delroy Lindo. The cast in this movie is phenomenal. And again, it's kids on the street. The redheaded stepchild. There you go, Chris. I really feel like it's a movie that more people should see. And it raises a lot of the issues of police and criminals and the options for young African-American kids, and really, really powerful. I think if you haven't seen it, it's based on a novel by Richard Price. And I think it's just beautifully done. I'm a Delroy Lindo fan. He might show up here at some point as well in the future. I got 17 left, but I think Delroy might make a slot there because I just between this movie and Get Shorty and so many other great ones, I feel like Delroy might sneak a slot in there. Avery Brooks, good pay. Look, Chris Barrett's going to fun places in this list. I love it. American History X is a great movie. People talking about Old Boy, really, really great. Richard Pryor wrote it. No, Richard Price. I think he's a white guy. But he also wrote for The Wire. Yeah, very good. 75% of the cast of Boomerang should make the list. Hey, you're not wrong on that, Chris. Coach Vic, you're not wrong on that. Hello, Simon R. I worry about all of you that like the story of Old Boy. Right. So that is the end of my list for tonight. That's the first 10 from my 30 African Americans in cinema 30 days of African Americans in cinema. So I'm doing one every day on my Instagram. So those are the first 10 days. Obviously, I've done 3 more since then. I mentioned Don Cheadle, Eddie Murphy, and who else did I forget? Let's see here. Let's see. I forgot Don Cheadle, Eddie Murphy, and one other person. I'm sorry. James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones. So the next time I do this, you already know the first 3 of the 10 that I will bring up. So the next time I do this, and again, people are welcome to join. I said that I'd throw out the link to people that wanted to join in. So Bearded Comic Bro, if you want to join the next time when I have my next 10, it's going to be Eddie and James Earl Jones and Don Cheadle for sure, and then 7 others as well. And hopefully have time to talk with you all in the chat. Let's hear what Gore Vidal has to say. Gore says, Clockers is good, although I think Malcolm X is a better film. Do the Right Thing is more original and probably has had a more lasting influence on filmmakers. I totally agree with that. That's a well-said summary of the films. I think when it comes to picking the 2 films for each person that I'm doing just for this live stream, I'm boiling it down to the films that had the biggest impact on me. Usually it's going to include that one film that's the tip of the spear, and then a film that I think is probably underrated that maybe people haven't seen or haven't heard of, just to kind of get a little love out there for something that maybe people don't know about. This is CNN. Welcome to CNN. I'm going to finish my cocktail here. Absolutely bearded. So let's see. The 20th. What day of the week is the 20th? Let's take a look. The 20th is a Saturday. So I could probably do it next Saturday if you wanted to. So hit me up, bearded. It might be next Saturday. Did Ghost Dad make your list? I did mention it on Instagram, and I'll talk about Boogie Nights for sure. But Don Cheadle is going to be next Saturday for sure. So yeah, bearded. If you're in for next Saturday, just let me know. I'm happy to have you come in, man. Saturday's your birthday. Hey, Coach Vic, our birthdays are very close to each other. There you go, man. So we'll do 10 more on the next stream like this. Hopefully next Saturday. I might be out hunting with dollar bin fodder in the morning and then try afterwards. Gosh, I keep forgetting you too, Kachung. Man, I'll hit the notification bell. Too bad I missed the beginning of this tonight. Well, you can catch the replay. I think this is one of those shows that I think hopefully will be fun on the replay, not necessarily having to be watched live, but I certainly appreciate all of you coming by and hanging out with me live. It definitely made this all worthwhile. And Mr. Gore, I'm super duper excited that you were to be able to be here in the chat for this, my man. So Chris Barrett's still selling me on the Billy D. Williams and the Carl Weathers, and I appreciate that, man. And I got my short list. Let me see. I think it's in my bedroom. My long form list is in my room. I'm working it down little by little. I knew that these 10 had to make the list, but I also have like 3 or 4 others that are, Denzel's going to make the list. Morgan Freeman kind of has to make the list. So of the 20 that are left, there's a few musts that have to be there. So, those will be definitely something. Kachung says, we will see you Monday evening for Something's Killing the Children on JP's channel. Absolutely. Definitely. And I'm also going to be on the Boy Who Had Seven's channel that evening. So I got 2 shows Monday night. And I might be helping out on 2 shows tomorrow night. It's still being debated whether I'm joining Big Will or White Whale Comics. That's what it was. Michael B. Jordan. He's just getting started in his career, but he's already amassed a ton. Corbett says, I enjoyed this, John. I'm glad you did this. Maybe one day you will do a Wim Wenders. Oh, my gosh. Or Terry Gilliam. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's been an experiment, and I will say, I was thinking about it this weekend a bunch, like what I've noticed looking at 30 African Americans in cinema, and it's stupid. It's not. I'm not claiming that like looking at movies is like changing the world, but I am claiming that these movies did affect the world. Do the Right Thing, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. These movies had an effect. And what I've noticed in doing this, number one, was the lack, or at least seemingly the lack of opportunity for African Americans for a long time. And the idea that African Americans were really only being offered certain kinds of roles at the beginning of their careers, that they weren't able to do certain things. Some of that was an interesting eye opener that I maybe hadn't fully appreciated. So I really did appreciate kind of this effort. And when it comes to somebody like Michael B. Jordan, I think he's getting opportunities that a lot of actors like us, Sidney Poitier, really didn't have at the beginning of their career, or a director like a Spike Lee or a F. Gary Gray would struggle to have at the beginning of their career, for sure. So I think that stuff is very important to talk about, and the challenges, absolutely. Gone with the Wind, great movie. Yeah, right. And it felt like the early films, they had to play the African Americans had to play the maid or the slave or the criminal, or, something like that. Or they were in the blaxploitation films of the 70s, right? Absolutely. Joel says he's in the Geek Fort tomorrow playing Mad Libs at 2 Eastern. That's 5 Pacific. 2 Pacific. That's 5 Eastern. If anyone wants to come by, always a good time. Me and the girls like to jump in there when we can, for sure. Butterfly McQueen needs to make the list. First African American to win an Academy Award, and it was for Gone with the Wind. Yeah, right. And I'm definitely considering on the short list, or sorry, on the long form list for sure. It's just a question of where I go from here. The imaginary. I'm assuming you're talking about this movie right here, Joel. I think you're talking about this one. All right, so I'm gonna bounce out of here. My drink is pretty much done. I might have 2 more drinks in it. 2 more sips. So if you're following me on Instagram, you can follow along as I post, and then show up here next Saturday when Bearden and I will kind of go through the 10 actors who came up and see what we have to say about them. The blaxploitation films showed that African Americans could be leading actors, right? But usually there was that element of having to be involved with drugs, or a pimp, or a superfly, right? It was rare that you got an upstanding citizen, I guess, is the idea. And I think they were trying to mix pop culture and something that will sell with real experiences that might meet an audience's needs. I think that was a glass ceiling that it seems like Pam Grier bumped against at different points in her career. So it's been a challenge for a lot of people. It seems like, this is me on the outside looking at it. Kachung, my brother, you are so right. And I think I just put it back on the shelf. There it is. Yeah, my man. Kachung is mentioning Rabbit Proof Fence, a wonderful small film about a really challenging time in Australia's history with the Aborigines. Great movie. Kenneth Branagh as the preacher running the I don't want to call it a concentration camp, but it kind of was some kind of a camp. I mean, it was pretty scary. Great movie, my man. Obviously, probably more related to that than most of our audience here. So hopefully next Saturday we can do this again. And I'll have 10 more to go through. I'm trying to stay on pace. I'm not used to doing this much work on Instagram, but it's been an enjoyable experiment, and I've been learning a lot of stuff. It's a great movie, Kachung, honestly. And I'm Philip Noyce, the director of this, has done a ton of great movies. And the year he did this movie, he also did a movie called The Quiet American with Michael Caine. And I felt like I was like, Philip Noyce is a god. He had two of my favorite movies in the same year as a director. Rabbit Proof Fence and The Quiet American are great movies. And I was like, gosh, Philip Noyce is fire. A lot of great actors in cinema. Yeah, I totally agree, Joel. You are spot on, my man. Absolutely. Sorry, I'm chewing my ice now. I'm going to wind this up. I'm going to head out of here. I'm not going to do the Discovery Bay. Let's do 20 shots of whiskey. This was a little more patient. Nobody joined me, so I think it was easier to control the Alcoholic Anonymous portion of my show tonight. If you didn't see Discovery Bay's show from last night, you should join and check it out. It's about 5 hours long, but there are some moments that will go down in history. I'm just going to say some great, great moments. Huge thanks to all of you who hung out and joined me for this. Again, if you have people like Carl Weathers or Billy D. Williams that you want to see if I can fit into the last 17 slots in my list, leave comments here on the channel, and I will add them to the long form list, and we'll see if they make the short term list. Thank you all for hanging out, and I'll catch you again soon.